So now I'm going to ask, I'll start with Sam because he's sitting on the left of me. Key challenge, and in this I'm asking you in your hat as a franchisee for Carl's Jr., one key challenge and how you overcome it.
Sorry. So I think, I see three key challenges, but I'll talk about one. So it's essentially, to me, training. It's about systems and processes, and the third is real estate. In our case, I think training was a key challenge because Carl's Jr. uses different kind of products. It uses a char broiler or a char griller, which is almost not used by most of the QSRs because it's normally time consuming, and we don't use skillets, so we don't use just plain fryers because of what our offerings are. So for us, training was the key thing, identifying good people, taking them, we made a decision to take them overseas to the headquarters. The training could have been for a few weeks, but we decided we'd do a full 2.5-month training process, 10 weeks of hardcore training, and we took about 10 of the team members, including all the senior members, directors, etc. All of us, all the 5 directors went in, and besides the entire team, and we took the operations team. We did a train the trainer program, and of course, our executive director topped the entire batch of about 50 people from across the globe. So I think training is the biggest challenge, and that's how we overcome it.
So training, and from what you're saying, you invested significantly in the training, beyond the need of the brand.
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely.
Karan looks like he's trying to add, something really valuable to that one.
No, I've always been on the other side. So, but I see that for my franchisees, the challenge is that they think we as a brand always fail to adapt or customize to that particular region. Being in the segment that we are, the pricing in that region, the taste in that region. So, I see that as a bigger challenge for my franchisees because Sam, because he's also a franchisor, is aware about the importance of training.
So, how have you given them a solution to that challenge?
As a brand, we also cannot unstandardize or non-standardize our menu rates and taste throughout the region. So we need to tell them that end of the day, if you give a consistent quality, then people will eat what you offer because you are in a particular niche of offering, you have a brand. So you need to convince them, you need to make them believe in your product and also handhold them and also keep them motivated throughout the journey of incubation of their outlet. And then I'm sure that they'll see success because you have seen it over a few outlets. So keeping confidence in your product, keeping them motivated, sharing success stories with them is the only way to come over it.
Shikha, beyond the challenges discussed, what is one key challenge for competition?
I think the key challenge faced by Indian franchisors is consistency. Consistency is what we have to handle. And like he rightly said, but that can be handled is because you have the fundamental business in place. But how do you ensure that it is carried out right is again the training. And it has to be predictable. For a restaurant format, if your guest is coming to your restaurant, your product has to be predictable and consistent. So I think that's the key challenge, and that's overcome by only training and system and processes.
In addition to that, I think what I'd like to add is that you have to check on it. So you might have the best systems in the place, you might have these thick manuals, but unless you regularly audit as a franchisor or ask the franchisee to do some audits, unless you have a successful mystery audit third-party program, you got to do random checks because things go wrong.
Yes, I think the audit program is very important.
Sure.
You have an in-house audit team that does the needful and also the mystery audit. So I think that is key. I'm great you covered that point.
Okay. Uday, any challenges that challenge?
I think I've got a different perspective on this. Sorry. I think in India, people are still understanding the franchising as a model, really. So what I mean is that, in America, for example, which is a very advanced kind of a society in terms of the franchising system, here setting the expectation of the franchisee is I think a bigger challenge because out there people understand what is the role of a franchisee, what's the role of a franchisor. I think here we're still sort of groping in that area. So I think it's a big challenge, and it's also the responsibility of the franchisors to actually set the standards in place, making sure what a franchisee is expected to do. I think a lot more time needs to be spent on that before we
So
actually
you're
sign.
really talking about setting realistic expectations and then managing them also on both sides, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Jason, from a different perspective from the US, I mean, far advanced in franchising as a especially in the F&B sector. Any kind of different challenges that you face in that market that you'd like to share?
I would say we could take two challenges that we look at. The first challenge would be, from the franchisor's perspective, is innovation, trying to come up with new products, new offerings, something that keeps the customer coming back, keeping him, because after a while, the same items on the menu becomes tiring, becomes boring, and in our space, in the coffee space, it's been a challenge because you can only get so creative sometimes with your coffee beverages, and you can only, change it so much. So for us, the innovation side has been a challenge to constantly try to differentiate ourselves from our competitors, because it's really easy to walk into 5 cafes and pretty much have the same exact experience at all 5 of them. They're not really that different. Just the name on the sign outside is different. So we really strived on that as far as one of our internal challenges of pushing ourselves to make it different. The other challenge is when you take a brand from the US to an international market, how that brand is going to fit into that marketplace. And being open to adapt and change your menus and offerings, and respecting cultural differences, flavor differences, whatever it is, to be able to do that. Because you hear many stories about franchises that come in, they open a couple hundred stores, and after a year they shut half of them down because no one wants to buy, the product, or they come in selling donuts, they end up selling hamburgers because that's what the customer wanted. So you have to be able to, as part of your vision as a franchisor, when you go into countries, say, okay, we're willing to make adaptations so we don't end up selling muffins, instead of pizza.
Okay, thank you. I think great, interesting, challenges, learnings from them. So as you look at your own franchise business, whether it's in F&B or a lot of the principles are the same. Last quick, I think 5 minutes we can have a quick discussion on new trends. So, any thoughts on what are going to be the hot new trends, whether it's, segment-led, cuisine-led, concept-led, and what in specific do you think will, kind of be the new trend? There are lots of stuff which has happened in the last, 5-7 years, I think, but what's new? Sam?
Thank you. Essentially, I've, since the last few months been saying that burger's the new pizza. We've seen trends in this country for a very long time when, we've had traditional food, and we've had food influences from across the globe at different points of time, right from frontier food at some point of time. People didn't know what paranthas were in the south, and people didn't know what dosas were in the north, and things like that. So, over a period, you've had restaurant food, then you've had 5 stars coming in and serving foods. There was a time when kids said the party wasn't good, despite of whatever the mother of the birthday boy or girl spent, because there were no noodles or there were no pizzas at some point of time. So our palates have changed. There's been fusion of food, of beverages as well as food. So molecular food, molecular drinks, and so on and so forth. I would say that definitely, let's say finger food, burger I consider as a finger food, just like pizzas, but that's a new change. You've seen at least 3-4 international burger chains that have come into the country. The other thing is that quality and premiumness is very important for people at this moment. It's not about what the price is. I think a lot of our QSR friends are moving to on the price competitiveness and probably outbidding themselves, and the customer is obviously winning in that entire thing. But the customer's product, because the product is not good, the customer is also losing out on the product. So unfortunately, the quality is going down, price is going down, and whoever understands that there's a problem and makes that change and says we'll give premium quality food for those who want to have that food. And of course, over a period, each one of us would prefer to have hygienic food, standardized food, as Shikha said. So you want to come back for the for a repeat experience. You don't want a surprise. Innovation, but no surprise.
Sure. Okay, Brian, any kind of new trends in the US and F&B which thoughts that, might kind of work in India?
Sure. So the things that's been really hot for us is they talk about sustainable products, talk about reusable, different type of materials that you actually put the food in. Some of the things that we've sort of taken on is really sort of evolving our product any way we can so that you get the most premium product for the right price. And I think if you really look at this value proposition and make sure that the customer comes first, it makes a valuable difference. And I think India is going to be no different than that. We've also had a big approach in the U.S. towards organic foods instead, and so we've gone that route on a number of product assortments as well. So. The customer's demanding, and you want to listen to them and adapt as you need to make sure that you're servicing them. So,
yeah, I think great point, because sustainability and using eco-friendly and various other aspects is still being done on a very limited scale in India. Yes, Jason.
Just a quick thought to follow up on what Brian was saying. One of the big things that we're noticing is people wanting a more healthy alternative, healthy options. When they go to cafes and QSR outlets, as much as people want a treat, an indulgent treat, they all want something healthy. They're looking for, something that they don't feel guilty eating when they get. So the healthy alternatives are definitely a big plus.
Shikha, any kind of new trends that you think in the industry?
Yeah, I think it's quite a young India today. And the trends, like we have the conventional foods, the traditional foods. I think that whole millennials that we have today and the under 30s, I think the fresh new concepts, all the concepts that are coming in are more fresh, more new, with a twist, with a vibe. So that's what I look at as the future. Even Indian food coming into that.
And a lot of them which exist without any brick and mortar. Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot happening in the F&B space, which is purely delivery led. Yeah. Aggregator of home chefs, so that's a whole new trend.
Yeah, you have all the restaurant chef owners, the small format. So there's a lot happening in that space for me.
Okay.